After searching through the internet for content, I have realized that there is a lot of content and advice for people considering transferring colleges, and then there's a lot of content and advice for people considering entering college for music. But there's not a lot of content for people considering transferring colleges as a music major. After listening to people's experiences of transferring as a music major as well as having been a music major transfer, I have come up with 4 pieces of advice for people considering transferring colleges as a music major. Those pieces of advice are being proactive, trying to test out of classes, fighting for course evaluation, as well as meeting with your advisor. The first piece of advice that I have is just to be proactive, which really kind of applies to anyone considering college at all. But because being a music major is so skill-based, it's often hard to, one, get things to count. So for example, like if you've already taken 4 semesters of music theory and ear training, it's really good to be able to get your syllabi ready. That way when you go to transfer and you need syllabi to get your previous credits to count, you have those, as well as preparing for any skill tests that you have to do the day of your audition. And that's another thing. Make sure that once you know that you need to transfer, make sure that you schedule your auditions as soon as possible. Especially if you're someone maybe coming from a 4-year school that wasn't intending on transferring and then decided to transfer, make sure that you schedule your auditions as soon as possible. That way, that's like one of those things you don't need to worry about. My next piece of advice is to try to test out of as many classes as possible. Again, with the idea that you want to get as many of your classes to count. For certain classes like music theory and ear training and things like that, it's not as easy as just giving your syllabus, while, for example, music history and things like that, like those classes, you can just give your syllabus and make them count, but for things like music theory and ear training, those are test-based, so definitely encourage you to set up placement exams so that way you can test out of those classes as opposed to having to retake them. Often you'll do things like that on the day of your audition, but definitely make a point to do those. Another thing is to meet with your advisor and make what I call a course sequence guide. I've often seen colleges have a list of what classes you need to take, and sometimes they'll tell you what semesters you will need to take those classes. So for someone who's transferring, every college's course sequence guide is a little bit different. So you will have to sit with your advisor once you've figured out what classes you have taken, what classes you need to take, form your own. That way, whenever you have to register for the next semester, it makes that process a little bit easier. Because then you won't be guessing as to, what classes do I need to take every single time you go to enroll. If you can get a list as soon as possible of what classes you need to take from the point that you transfer until graduation, that will make your life so much easier. Also, fight for course evaluation. This really goes for any transfer student, but you don't want to waste any of the classes you've already taken. So really do your homework and do your research, get all your syllabi ready in case you need to send anyone your syllabus, and really try to get your classes to count, because the school's not going to do that for you. You definitely need to be on top of your own stuff to make sure that all of the classes that you've taken will count. And yeah, those are some general tips for transferring as a music major. Definitely make sure that you do your research as far as what classes are supposed to transfer as what kind of things you need to do in order to be admitted to the school, setting up your auditions and placement exams. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful.